Okay? We've all seen these block pieces. So these block pieces here, these help show the base power of 10. Each time you step up, it is 10 times more. Okay? So when you go from 1s to 10s, 10 times more. 10s to 100, 10 times more. 100 to 1,000, 10 times more. Every step you take up this or down this, you're either going times it by 10 or you're dividing by 10. But it's all based on the power of 10. What is it all based on?
Power of 10.
What is it all based on?
Power of 10.
It's all based on the power of 10. Let's go now. Place value in decimals. Now here's where it gets tricky for us, okay? Ahead of decimals, I'm pretty sure that all of you could probably do this pretty easily. But where it gets tricky is when we start moving into decimals. Who can tell me, what is a decimal? We just heard our vocabulary for it. What is a decimal? Ty? You can look. You can. You guys where it. What's a decimal?
A decimal divides like the number from a symbol is a symbol to show fractions of a number.
Decimals are a symbol to show a fraction of a whole. Everybody, what is a decimal? A symbol to show a fraction of a whole. So we're starting to move into fractions when we hit decimals. Now look at your paper. So this next part says look at these. So if you have one piece, this is what you have. But if you move to where you have 0.1, we'll turn this so. If you move to where you have 0.1, we are now moving into a fraction of a whole. So 0.1, I want you to notice. How many pieces do I have?
10.
I have 10 pieces.
Wait.
I pointed you, I said 10.
I know, wait.
Hang on.
That was backwards.
We have 10, because we're going back. So if you move one space behind the decimal, shows you have a tenth of a whole piece. So one space behind it shows a tenth of the whole piece. You move two spaces behind it, now you have one out of how many? 100. So if you move two places behind it, you have 100. 100 of a whole piece.
100.
And same thing, if I moved another one, since it goes by tens, I would have 1,000th of a whole piece. Okay? Each step you go, whether it's forwards or it is backwards, they are always by powers of tens. So either you're going to be times 10 or dividing by 10. Okay? So as you see here, looking down at yours, in a decimal number, a digit in one place has 10 times the value it would have in the place the place to its right. Okay? So if every time you step up, times 10, times 10, times 10, times 10, times 10. Times what, everybody?
10.
Times what, everybody?
10.
Times what, everybody?
10.
10 times 10. Alright? Here, next page. Here they give you a great chart. Eyes on the next page, page 3. Eyes on page 3, everybody. They give you a great chart that shows you how this works. Put your eyes on it. It shows you. If you are moving up, you're timing by 10. If you are moving down, what they said was times 1/10. You know what that means? That's the same as saying divide by 10. Times by 1/10 is the same thing as saying divide by 10. Yes, sir.
It's not how soon.
Just in about 20 minutes.
Well, can I put my Gatorade at the bottom of the refrigerator instead of top of the fridge?
That's fine, right? Oh, you mean the freezer? You gotta move it down. Move it up. I'll try to move it up there. Alright. So, watch it closely. Come down here. I need somebody to read this right here for me. This part right here. Try to read it for me.
This part right here.
Mm-hmm.
When the digit will be,
when the digit 1 moves one place.
To the left, its value is 10 times what it was when the digit 1 moves one place to the right. Its value is 1 fraction of 10.
1/10.
1/10 once it was.
So, if it moves to the left, it's 10 times more. If it moves to the right, it's 10 times less. And if I take a look here, it shows you that. Eyes up here, guys. All eyes. So right here, 100 is 10 times 1,000. So if I had 0.01 equals 10 times 0.001. So if I would move over 1. But on the other side, if I had 0.001, that's the same as 0.01 divided by 10. So all it's trying to show you is this powers of 10. Everybody say powers of 10. Say times 10. Say divide by 10. Place value is simply moving by tens. Okay? So, for the last part here, before we start doing some practice on our own, because we're going to do some practice problems, I want you to tell me, read this problem here, and answer the question. It says, in which number does the digit 5 have a greater value? 0.00 or 0.05 or decimal 005? How many times as great is the value? Explain how you know. So take a look at that problem. And the first thing you have to tell me is simply which one of those is bigger. Which one of those is greater? Is it decimal 05 or is it decimal 005? So start off on your paper. Write down which one you think is greater. Either it's decimal 05 or it's decimal 005. Tell me which one do you think is greater? Write it down. But put it down, which one is greater?
0.5? No. 0.05.
Excellent job. It's 0.05. That is greater. Because if I go back and I look over here that we just saw, okay? Eyes over here, guys. Remember, when we went right to that place, we had a tenth of a whole, right? So if I have 0.05, I'm right here, right? So that means I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces out of 100, right? But if I go one more over, when I have 0.005, remember we said this is tens, this is hundreds. What is this one? Thousands. So now I only have 5 pieces out of 1,000. That's much smaller than 5 out of 100. Okay? Much smaller. Much smaller.
Am I
Okay?
right?
So if you wrote down 0.05, you got it right. But second part of this question: how many times as great is the value?
10.
Write it down. Write it down as your answer. How many times as great is the value? I've been harping this the whole lesson. Everybody should be able to get this. It's right 10. We'll see. Okay. Ethan, how many times great is the value? 10 times. Everybody say 10 times.
10 toes?
It's 10 times the value. Okay? If you go one space over, it's either 10 times more Or if you go to the right, it's 10 times less. Okay? And that's kind of I just explained how we know that. Each step you take, it goes by 10. All right. Do me a favor. Take out your math notebooks. Take out your math notebooks. So if you some still have that, take it out. Topic of this page is going to be place, value, practice. Topic is place, value, practice. And then turn to that page and write this as your title. Since it is a new page, you need name, date, subject. Topic is place, value, practice. Method. Good job. See if you write their name, date, and subject. Thank you guys. Okay, write down these on your paper. These are 3 problems we'll practice, and you guys will do some work on your own. That makes more sense then. Okay. I feel better about myself. I was like, 2 lessons should have fit that window. That's fine. Alright guys, so we're gonna take a look. This might keep right, I'm just talking. We're gonna take a look at these 3 problems. Now, each one, we got 2 different numbers. And I've underlined a number in each one, a digit in each one. We're going to look at each one and try to say, first off, which one is the bigger value? And then the second thing we're going to ask is, how many times more? So Nick, what's the first thing we're going to look at? Nope. Good job, we're going to go on. First thing we're going to do is look at the bigger value. And then Nick, what's the second thing we're going to look at? How many times more, right? Excellent. So let's look at number 1. 3,452, 6,584. So We're looking at the 5s in these numbers, right? Raising hands, who can tell me which 5 has a greater value? Looking at number 1, which 5 has a greater value? Nick.
5 and 6,000.
You are correct. This one right here has the greater value. So, question number 2, so you circle that 5, it has the greater value. Question number 2, we're going to write beside it. How many times more is this 5 than this 5? You should pay attention, eyes up here. Question is, how many times more is this 5 right here than this one? Mark right beyond? It is 10. It is one place to the left. That means it is 10 times more. Okay? Sorry, 10 times beside. It's 10 times more. It only moved one spot. Okay? Alright. Next number we have. Number 2. I have 28 and 200s. 28 and 200s. Number 3. Oh, sorry, I skipped, sorry. The next number, I have 5 and 2700s. So I'm looking at my 2's in both numbers. 2 and 2. First off, who can tell me which 2 has the greater value? Which 2 has the greater value? Ty.
5 dot.
Decimal. What's decimal?
Can I say that?
That's the decimal. That's the math term. It's decimal.
I thought you were going to say
5 decimal 47. So you're right.
5.
He said it was this 2 here. 5 decimal 2700. Everybody circle that 2. That is the greater value. Now I'm going to say this. Listen closely. I'm going to say this one differently. Okay? Listen. How many times less is this 2 and this 2? How many times less? It is 10. It is 10. It's only one spot. I moved one spot to the right. That's the same as saying divide by 10 to go smaller. So it is 10 times less also. Last one I'm going to throw at you. A little bit tricky, or it's different than what we've done. Number 3. 345 and 6/10. 68 and 2/10. I'm looking at the 6 in both numbers. The first question, who can tell me which 6 has the greater value? Which 6 has the greater value? Now go. No, no. Which has the greater value? Ethan. $68. This is in the tens place. That's 10 pieces. This is a fraction of a piece. So this one has a lot more. Okay? This decimal says there's a fraction of a whole here. And this one's in the tens place, means there's 10 whole pieces. So I know right here we have 60 pieces. Right here we have 60, a fraction of a whole. 60 pieces that are a fraction of a whole. Okay? So this 6 is my bigger one. Now, here's a harder question. Osbeer Nick, how many times more is this 6 than this 6?
10 times
Good job. One person got it. Michael?
2. 100.
Good. Who had 100? Keep your hand up if you had 100. Good. Every spot you move, you're times it by 10. So I heard Mark Wagon say that when he was thinking through it. If I started here, and I go 1, 2, what's 10 times 10? 100. So this one is 100 times more. If I had gone all the way to this one, it would have been 1,000 times more. Okay? Every spot you move, everybody say times 10.
Times 10.
Times 10.
Times 10.
Times 10.
Times 10.
Every spot you move, you're times it by 10. All right, good job. All right, now what you're going to do, and you probably won't finish it all today, and it's fine, you're not supposed to. In your I Ready book, flip over to page 4. Flip over to page 4. I want you to go ahead and start working through pages 4 through 7. So I'm ready. Page 4 through 7. You most likely will not finish all that today, and you're not supposed to. It's supposed to carry over to, let's say Monday? Wednesday. It's supposed to carry over to Wednesday also. So go ahead and start working through these pages. If you have any questions, you can whisper with your neighbors. So we have partners here, and we'll have these 3 guys here. If you have a question, of course, feel free to raise your hand so I can help you too. But this is going through place value that we've just done. Everybody say times 10. Times 10. That was weak. Everybody together. Times 10. One more time. I can hear all voices. Times 10. There we go. If we done it the first time, we're going to have to do it 3 times. Make sure you remember, it's times 10. Either you're moving 10 times more or 10 times less as you're going down the place value chart, okay? All right, go ahead and get started.